Hey everyone, today's September the 3rd and I wanted to give you an update on my chestnut orchard. This tree here has grown pretty good this year. It's probably got, probably got 2 foot of growth this year, which I'm absolutely ecstatic about. And I bought this tree as a seedling, and I bought it from a company in Michigan, where they grow chestnuts up there, seedlings, and lots of other trees too. But I bought it from those guys because one of the issues I've had trying to grow trees and seedlings is that the winter's pretty cold here, and some of the trees just don't make it through the winter. I'm in south central Pennsylvania. It can get cold here, so the trees die off. There's a seedling. I planted that from nut last year. Last fall, I just put the nut in the ground, and it's started to grow a little bit. Let me see if I can zoom in there. It don't look like it's focusing very well, but it looks a little dry. It's kind of dry here right now. And some of these seeds didn't start to grow until after July. This one's wants to. You can see it there. You see one of the leaves on it. I just let the grass and stuff grow around it, because what I find is that when it's used to growing like that in the grass, then if I take it out, if I go in there and I pull the grass away from it, what happens a lot of times is the sun's too much for the tree, and the tree won't survive. It just bakes the leaves on it. So I just let the grass grow around it. Just let it kind of do its thing, do what it does. Here's one that grew pretty good this year too. I planted this one from seed, I don't know, probably 5 years ago. It's probably 7 foot tall right now. And the interesting thing about this is it's got pokeberries growing in it, and I broke some of the pokeberries branches off of here, but they seem to be growing well together, so I just let them grow. This one is I think I got this from the seeds from this one from a place in Virginia, and it's doing okay. Here's one of the older chestnut trees I have, and I bought this from I bought the seeds from Marvelous Farms, and it's probably been 10 years ago now, maybe a little longer. It's got a burr on it there. I don't know if that burr is, if it's pollinated or not, if it's going to have any seeds on it. Viable seeds in it. There's a ladybug. One of the things that happened this year, that really doesn't happen here that often, is these trees came out and started to grow probably 6-8 inches, and then we got a late frost, and the frost killed the leaves back, and they had to regrow. So what happened is, they didn't come out in the catkins and the female flowers. They didn't come out till later, and so the pollination wasn't very good this year. And so I don't think those burrs are going to be viable, but we'll see. There's another one from Marvelous Farms. Those last 3 I showed you were from Marvelous. This one's growing really good this year too. It's supposed to get like 90 couple degrees this week. No rain. So stuff, it's kind of borderline being dry right now. So I think it's gonna bake. It's going to bake the ground. It's going to dry it out this week. Hopefully towards the end of the week we get some rain. A couple of these trees this year that the first video I did back around July, you could see in that video where the Japanese beetles were eating some of the trees. You could still see some of the leaves here that they ate, but I mean, they recovered pretty well. I mean, that tree there, it's probably grew somewhere between 8 inches and a foot. I don't always get the best growth out of them. Again, I give them a little bit of fertilizer, but not a lot. And, they get whatever rain they get. If it gets really dry, sometimes I water them. But it's got to be really dry. Here's something that's kind of first this year that's never happened to me in this orchard before, and that is you can see these male flowers coming out here late. I don't know what causes that and why they do that. This is the only one that I've seen do that. So yeah, interesting. But I'm hoping next year that it gets those flowers on it, and I can get some more pollination in here. There are trees growing in those tubes, and in those tubes, those trees I bought from a company I think called Canopy, and they are Ching Peach crosses, those seedlings. And I think the seedlings are doing pretty well this year. I'll show you some of them up here. This is one of the trees that I had that died this year. You can see where the bark was cracked. I don't know if it got sun scald or what happened to it. I don't see any signs of blight on it. But you can see, it grew back from the roots. And this thing died probably in like June. And so these sprouts here are, root sprouts. And they're probably about 6 feet tall. You can see, the deer ate it off. I had to regrow back out of there, but it'd probably be taller than 6 feet if the deer hadn't eat it off. And you can see here where the deer ate some of it back. What I find here is the deer come through. The deer here all the time. They don't really bother them too much, not until later in the summer. And then if they can get to them later in the summer, they will eat them. They'll trim them back, which, I obviously don't care for that, but it's, you'd have to buy like 5-foot cages or 6-foot cages to keep the deer off of them. And I just don't do that. There's another seedling that's growing. And again, like all these ones that I planted from seeds last year, they didn't start coming up until after July, which I'm surprised by that. Here's one that was growing pretty good this year. You can see how the deer, they just come in and trim it back. But I'm hoping next year when this one grows, it'll be, it's only got to get up there about another, foot to 2 feet, and then it'll be above the browse line, and deer won't bother it. They won't bother the tops of it anyways. Here's another one I planted. There's a seedling. I planted it 2 years ago, and it's almost 4 foot tall. It's doing pretty good. Now, the other thing I learned in planting these trees too is that you can see these growing from root sprouts. Here's a root sprout growing up. What I do now is I just leave them grow. Because the root system is growing based on the leaves, so the more leaves, the better the root system does. And so until the trees get bigger, I'll trim them back when they get bigger, but until they get bigger, I'm just leaving them grow. And when I'm leaving them grow like that, they're growing much better. I got a couple of seedlings here that came up. The trees didn't really grow, that big. You can see it in there. It just didn't grow that big. That one's there was probably only about 6 inches tall. I've had some of them in here that didn't come up. There's another one. Again, that one's probably only about 8 or 10 inches tall. And I would say probably 75% of the seeds that I planted didn't come up. So I'm going to do something different this year. I'm going to get some more seeds, and I'm going to grow them in what they call containers. And I'll start them inside and probably grow them as long in the summer as I can, and hopefully let them in those containers until fall, and then plant them in the fall. Now, what I see about those containers is that they're really, the container is really long, so it's probably a foot long, and so it allows the roots to kind of grow down in that container and get down, grow down in there about a foot. And I think that's going to help a lot, because it does get dry here sometimes in the summer. Like, it can be in the spring, it can be really wet, and then you get into July and August, you get some 90+ degree days, and it'll dry a lot of stuff out. I'll show you this one down in there. You can see that one. That one there is probably about 4 foot tall, and that's this year's seedling. When I planted that was probably, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall. Here's ones that were the same size, 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall, and it grew. This is a 5-foot tube, and it grew right out of the tube, and it would be taller, except the deer did bite that off. But yeah, I mean, this one down here are doing really, really great. This one grew up out of the container too. And again, these are Ching peach crosses, and they are doing fantastic here. I mean, they're doing really, really well. So I'm really pleased with them. And you get every year where some of your trees grow really well, and some of them don't. But what I find is, the longer a tree survives, the better it grows, the better it does. I don't know if it's just got to get acclimated to the soil, and it starts pulling the nutrients out of the soil that it needs, where the root system gets big enough. Here's one's probably 4 foot tall too. So that's the update. I probably got just kind of young trees growing here. I probably got 40 trees growing here. I think I got room for at least another 40 more in this patch, so I could clear some more of this stuff out here if I wanted to, but plant some more. But I want to get this portion established first before I go trying to plant any more. Have a good day.